I've never swear.
So do you want to swear?
In a way, I'm fucking fed up with it.
Perhaps underneath the surface, you're a bit more angry than you'd like to acknowledge.
Yeah.
Before I knew what I was doing, I was swinging for this guy. Now, I pride myself in being a non-violent person.
I live my life like a dormant volcano, not showing much emotions, seeming to be on the surface fairly nice.
And like venting it those couple of times, every time you vented it, there's been a feeling of release or freedom.
Yeah, that was incredibly releasing in a way. It just felt like the depths of me was connecting with the surface.
So it was like you were fully Jon in that moment. In order to become more connected,
Yeah.
you have to be in touch with your anger more. You trained yourself to suppress your emotion. That's your Christian training. How sad.
Very sad.
So
yeah.
your training is to disconnect from yourself. You've trained yourself to disconnect from yourself. Okay, we're here again this morning, and today with Jon, we're going to be looking at the subject of anger. I think it might be quite a tricky subject because it's easier to talk about anger when you're in touch with your anger. And at the moment, I'm feeling quite calm. I don't know how Jon's feeling. But I'm sure as the session goes on and we start to explore things that make us angry, we get in touch with it. So you might well see either of us angry today.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
So, tell me about your anger, Jon, when it's most present in your life. When are you most angry?
It's a good question. I don't get angry very often, so which is, I know is a bit unusual, but it's just the way I am. But I think for me, anger is sort of underlying a lot of the time. Like it can just be pricked by someone annoying me slightly, and I get really angry quickly. So like the other day, I was really tired, and my wife just jokingly, I was lying on the bed, sort of half asleep, and she sort of just came over and sort of made a loud noise on the bed. And I got really angry with her really quick. I know that sort of if work is really annoying and like, you know, I'm doing too much at work, that makes me angry because I feel like I'm being treated unfairly, that type of thing. Yeah, I think that's one of the things. How about you?
Well, I think you'll find this, when
Yeah.
you listen back to this, what you've just said, you'll find, I think, quite interesting. Because you started off by like alluding to the fact that you're not angry that often, but then you contradicted yourself partway through, and actually I think there was more anger inside you than you acknowledge. So when you listen back, you probably find it quite interesting because it was a bit contradictory what you're saying, but I don't think that's unusual because I think a lot of people experience themselves or think they're not angry, but actually they're really angry. But it's like underneath the surface and it's bubbling away. And as you say, when it gets pricked, it then comes out. But I think if we were to sit and allow ourselves a little bit of time, we'd discover we're much more angry than we think we are. And I think the example you gave of laying on the bed and then Bex coming in and being a bit noisy and suddenly you were angry is a demonstration that perhaps underneath the surface, you're a bit more angry than you'd like to acknowledge.
Yeah, I think
because
so.
people don't like acknowledging anger, you see, because they don't feel good about themselves. If I sat here and said to you, I'm a really, really angry person, then immediately I wouldn't feel really good about myself. So there's that connection to guilt and shame with anger.
I think for me, a lot of my anger's covered up because I'm a people pleaser. I'm scared of confrontation. I hate confrontation generally. So therefore, if I start to get angry in a sort of a group environment, it's like I've got a jug of water that I pour on the anger straight away inside, so people don't see it.
But it doesn't mean it's not there.
No,
and
that's
even
right.
before you said I get a jug of water and pour a jug of water on it, you didn't go like that as if you were pouring a jug of water. You went like that and you made a fist. And I think, again, to me, that demonstrates that, and I might be reading too much into this, but there's a lot of anger, but it's just underneath the surface. And you concentrate on not letting it out. That doesn't mean that it's not there. It just means that you concentrate on not letting it out. So you said, if I was in a group situation and I got really angry, I'd grab a jug of water and pour it on it, so then other people don't experience my anger. That doesn't mean you're not angry.
No, that's right.
It means you're fuming inside, perhaps, but
Yeah.
you've just found a way down the years of covering up that anger or not letting it out. So would it be true to say that Jon is a very angry person, but his anger is suppressed?
Yeah,
and he concentrates
I think
hard
so.
on not letting it out.
Definitely, yeah. No, definitely, because I've got a 4-year-old son, and sometimes he decides to do things that he shouldn't do, and I actually initially don't feel much anger towards him, but as soon as I like, sometimes I raise my voice in order for for him to realise he's doing something wrong. And as soon as I start raising my voice, it's almost like all the feelings come out.
You get in touch with the anger.
Yeah, that's right. It's like the plug comes out, and I start, feeling all these angry thoughts, and it's just not normal.
It's that volcano, isn't it? It's almost like the plug of suppression comes out.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you start raising your voice, the anger comes out of that plugged up area, and it's a bit more volcanic.
Yeah.
And you suddenly realise, oh yes, I am angry.
Yeah,
I am an angry
yeah.
person. I didn't think I was.
Yeah.
But when I let go of this plug, suddenly
Yeah.
so it's almost as if, could we say that when your anger does come out, it surprises you?
Yeah.
Because you've worked so hard on suppressing it.
I've always said I'm not an angry person.
You've said that to me so many times in counselling sessions, and I don't think I've ever believed you.
Right, okay, well.
Because I remember one, thanks, Gary. I think I remember one particular time in here when we were doing a counselling session and we were getting in touch with your anger. We allowed that anger to be connected to you.
Yeah.
And you shouted out. You screamed out in the session, and we did it deliberately, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
And that was a loud roar that came out of you, very guttural.
Yeah.
And very angry.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, Wah! That type of thing.
Yeah, and there it is again.
Yeah. And yet, like, I can just sort of mellow out straight away afterwards.
But you can't, though, because it's brought your emotion.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
So you connected with your emotion.
Yeah.
So you can't mellow out straight away.
Not straight away, maybe.
Well, you mellowed out from your anger, but
Yeah.
what emotion came? Because your eyes just welled up. So what emotion came once you let that out?
Well, it felt releasing. It felt like the plug has come out. Like, and it doesn't often come out, obviously. So yeah, that was good. I mean, I wasn't sort of channeling my thoughts necessarily in one direction, but I just wanted to sort of demonstrate I've got some anger in there, I guess.
Yeah, and there was a release.
Like I have. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and obviously it's a bit embarrassing, sort of screaming and stuff, but yeah, no, it's.
Yeah, I've got some kitchen fitters in the kitchen, and
I
wonder how they just experienced your anger.
Yeah.
But I think it was like guttural, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it was releasing.
Yeah, no, that's right.
I think you needed to do it in that moment.
Yeah, because I think a lot of it, to be honest, is that I do feel sort of angry at myself a lot of the time, being sort of half disabled, like with a weak left side, sort of. It sort of inhibits me from doing stuff, so I'm constantly annoyed at myself. So I think some of it does boil down to that, but also, when things happen in life and you just think, why has that happened? Like I believe in, I'm someone who believes in God, but I've recently sort of been more and more angry at God in a way because of certain things that happen, like tragedies that happen to friends.
And the tragedy that's happened to you.
Yeah,
because you, by choice, you wouldn't have wanted to be born with a weak left side.
No, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
And you've had to suffer because of that weak left side.
Yeah.
And you're angry with God about that. You're angry with all the other suffering in the world too.
Yeah.
It's almost like you wanted to travel in that direction and pin it on everything else, but actually you're really angry with God because how he's made you. I
think so, yeah, because I just feel like I've got a handicap on. Sorry, not handicap. That's not the right word. What's the a limiter? Like if you drive in a car you've got the potential to go at 150 miles an hour, but if you've got a speed limiter on you can only go 30 or 20. And I'm a bit like that. I see a lot of other people going at 150 miles an hour, doing things that I'd like to do, but I feel like I've got a speed limiter on me of about 35 or 40 or something like that.
And that makes you angry.
Yeah, that makes me
angry. And it makes you angry with God, because you believe in God, so you believe that He created you.
Yeah.
So what would you like to say to God if you were speaking out of your anger towards Him for how He's made you, with that limitation, with that speed limiter on the left side of your body, and you were face to face with Him? What would you like to say to Him?
Well, I'd like to say I'm a bit miffed, really. I'm a bit fed up with it. Why did you have to let me go blue when I was 9 months old or something like that? So I would have liked to have, had a body that works. But instantly what goes straight through my head is that my own plug comes in and says, well, you should be grateful that you're alive. You've got, a lot of people in a far worse place than you. Stop being annoyed. So I've got this dual sort of voice going on in my head.
Yeah, and that stop being annoyed was you being angry with yourself then. But I felt as you were, potentially face to face with God, sharing about that, I thought, John's not even speaking out of his anger here. He's being a bit polite.
Yeah.
But you were already kind of like...
I was already trying to mask it.
Yeah, so if you weren't polite, what would you say to God?
I mean,
you're shaking your head. You're like, I can't do this.
No, I can't. The filter's strong.
What's not allowing you to do it? Yeah, so your filter.
Well, first of all, I've never swear.
So do you want to swear?
In a way, I'm fucking fed up with it. I'm fed up with the fact that I have a body that doesn't work. I really am, and I never swear. I've never said.
So how did it feel like to swear?
It was quite releasing. Yeah.
And did it touch your anger?
I felt slightly naughty at the same time.
Yeah, so you felt you felt naughty.
Yeah, I've never said that word ever. I don't think
in your life, and now potentially
maybe once or twice.
Hundreds of people could hear you saying that word.
Yeah,
but it's your anger speaking.
Yeah,
but I still think like you're being a bit polite.
Yeah.
But
I want to scream again because I'm fed up with how bad my body is.
How's that?
Bit better. Yeah. Yeah. No, that was a lot better because it sort of started to let it out.
And the anger was speaking, and the plug was a little bit more out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
And it's really, you were like beforehand when we were discussing this session by text. You were like, we could do anger, but, I'm not sure what we talk about or whether I'm a very angry person but as soon as we're into this session, we're already into the anger that sits below everything, that actually you're very angry. Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge amount of anger, isn't it? It's something that I don't really know about myself.
And it's there the whole time, but it's just the plug's in because it's had to be in.
Yeah.
And like venting it those couple of times, every time you vented it, there's been a feeling of release or freedom.
Yeah, that was incredibly releasing in a way, because it just felt like the depths of me was connecting with the surface, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so the depths of how you feel, your anger, was connecting with what was coming out, with the surface of what I was experiencing. So it was like you were fully John in that moment.
Yeah.
There was nothing hidden in that moment.
Yeah, that's right.
You were your anger.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And you're used to trying to live a separated life from John, separate from that anger. It's not allowed. It's naughty.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It must be suppressed.
The angry version of John is naughty and shouldn't be seen.
Yeah, he shouldn't be seen. He's not allowed out.
Yeah, he's not allowed out.
Where your parents don't let you out. Like, you're parenting yourself and you're not allowed out. The anger's not allowed out.
I'm not allowed to be
because...
me. Well, because I think partly because I've grown up as a Christian and I want to sort of be a good Christian representative for God, I guess, as someone who's grown up like that. So swearing's bad, getting angry is bad, really. As a Christian, you're almost a bit like a Jedi. That you've got to sort of live this perfectly peaceful, sort of happy life, and nothing can ever be wrong. And and so anger can't really be shown in public because that shows that you're a weak human being.
Shows that you're a weak human being, but a quick read of the Bible would see that there's a huge amount of anger in there.
Yeah, you're right.
A huge amount of
Yeah.
emotional,
I think
guttural
that's what
experience.
I've told myself, that I can't show weakness. But equally, I mean, when I'm out and about, I think it's the fear of people that stops me from being angry. So that's plugging me all the time. So like, I mean, it's fine in here because I've got used to you over the last year and a half or whatever, and so I feel a bit more able to let that out. But if I was trying to do a similar thing with someone new that came in here, I wouldn't be able to do that at all.
Yeah, so who in your life can you scream like that with?
Definitely my wife, if I really wanted to. Not that I've ever really done that. You.
Well, that's a contradiction. Definitely my wife.
Yeah.
But I've never really done that.
I've never done that, no.
It's a contradiction.
I mean, I might have screamed at her a little bit, but maybe not quite as bad as that.
But not as guttural and not about your own anger with what's going on with you. So you might have screamed at your wife maybe for something she's done, but not like that, you said.
Not like that,
so
no.
not the release of the anger.
No.
And that anger, it's there, isn't it? It needed to be released.
It's like lava and a volcano. Sort of the lava might be really deep in the ground and the volcano's at the top, just dormant. And I live my life like a dormant volcano, not showing much emotions, seeming to be on the surface fairly nice, fairly placid.
But living a life that's not very connected to yourself.
Yeah.
And how many times have you drifted off or become disconnected to yourself in sessions or when you're setting up and you don't really feel connected to yourself?
All the time, I
think. It didn't happen when you let that anger out.
No.
How connected to yourself were you?
100% connected then.
100% connected.
Whereas even now I'm sort of trying to put on a bit of a, calmer sort of persona.
I must be calm now.
I've got to be better.
So the plug's back in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel less connected with who I am fundamentally. If I assess what I'm feeling right now. Yeah.
So in order to become more connected,
you
have to be in touch with your anger more.
Yeah.
But you're not allowing yourself because that means you're naughty.
Yeah. Well, anger in the world can lead to bad things, can't it?
Yeah, it's not all good.
So it is important in a way to restrain anger to, you can't just do what you want and go punch someone without suffering the consequences and etc. But equally, I've gone the other extreme. I think.
There's so much suppression.
Of not letting
I mean, would you
like
all to punch God?
Sometimes I would. Yeah. Yeah. But again, my head
feel
straight
naughty?
away. Yeah, I feel straight away. It's like I've got two voices on my shoulder. The other voice says, "You can't say that. You can't punch God. Like, He's done so much for you. He's given you a lot of good things, which He has." And so I instantly try and plug the anger again, even though I do feel angry with Him for a lot of the things that He doesn't seem to do. Or He seems to stay very quiet for some reason, which is really annoying when I know He's there because I've experienced Him, but he stays incredibly quiet, and that really
makes you
me.
angry.
Yeah,
and He stayed quiet in relation not just to everybody else's suffering out there in the world, but He remains quiet with you.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been praying about something for quite a while. And He's not answered it, and I feel a bit peeved about it, to be honest. Yeah, because He's leaving me in the suffering.
Yeah, now you're connecting back in again with your anger again. Yeah, because your tone changed slightly.
Yeah,
He's leaving me in the suffering.
Yeah, why are you leaving me in the suffering?
Why are you leaving me in the suffering?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, you're God, you can do anything. Take me out of the suffering. It's a lot easier out of the suffering, isn't it?
Yeah, so, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
But again, this sort of language is all over the Bible. It's throughout all of the Psalms.
Yeah.
Lamentations, Ecclesiastes. There's a shed load of this type of expressing emotion to God.
Yeah. And I think we're we've trained ourselves, like in Christianity, as a Christian, I've trained myself not to be expressive.
Robots without anger, yeah.
Robots without
I've
anger.
trained myself not to be expressive. So you've trained yourself to suppress your emotion. That's your Christian training.
Yeah.
How sad.
Very sad.
So your training is to disconnect from yourself. You've trained yourself to disconnect from yourself, from your own emotional world.
Yeah,
because it's naughty or wrong.
And present a facade that people want to see.
Yeah, a facade that people want to see.
Yeah. Which, when you paint it like that, you just sort of think, well, that doesn't sound right, does it?
Well, it's not. It's not John.
No, that's right.
So who's having a relationship with this God anyway? Because it's not John.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I can't believe how much that sort of letting it out did make me feel more connected to me, actually. Like, even here,
yeah, you're still on the emotion of it, aren't you?
Yeah, that's
shouting out those couple of times.
Yeah.
We're still having a conversation that's ongoing, but underneath this conversation is you're still feeling the relief of shouting out.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. And it was a big relief, and it almost makes me want to keep doing it sort of regularly, sort of not necessarily. I mean, I don't want to scream too much more in it.
Yeah, no, I'm conscious of you screaming, and I'm a bit annoyed that we've got the kitchen fitters in our kitchen at the moment, because what fits what we need to do now is to allow you to release, to just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Because like the freedom that you felt in doing it, is like the anger needs a voice. It needs to be expressed.
Yeah. It's just I'm fed up with I'm fed up with so many things in the world, like the suffering in the world, seeing people suffer. Like, it really annoys me.
It makes you really angry.
Because, and also I feel like, what can I do to help them out? I'm doing a job, which doesn't allow me to help people out, and consumes my time, consumes my work week. How do I do that as well as try and help and alleviate the suffering in the world? I'm not sure. I mean, I've done things in the past, but that annoys me as a topic as well. Yeah.
So there's a lot of frustration there.
Yeah, that's right.
You feel helpless, unable to help people out in the world. And that's going to make you more angry or more frustrated. Yeah,
that's right. And being physically enabled as well makes me feel like, even though I've got the desire to help people, what can I actually do? Because I'm not very physically, good at doing things.
So from like a manual labour perspective,
DIY, I can't do any DIY.
You can't help people move house.
Department. Yeah, no. I've done it in the past and nearly killed myself several times.
Suffered for it.
Yeah,
and then probably been quite angry internally.
Yeah, that's right. So
you really are quite an angry person, John.
I am.
How does it feel for me to say that and you to say back to me, yeah, I am?
Well, it sort of hits my pride, because I've always sort of, tried to pride myself in not being an angry person and keeping anger under control, etc. But yeah, more and more I'm sort of seeing when it's pricked. Certainly, if one of my children don't do what I want, a lot of anger does seem to come out. And I don't like that. I don't like that side of me. Not that I've ever hurt my kids or anything like that, but certainly in terms of like shouting and stuff like that, I don't want to scare them. I don't want to freak them out. I don't want to injure them emotionally. Because of my anger, that's just there under the surface. Yeah,
and probably surprises you when it comes out to your children. They have an amazingly annoying way of pushing our buttons, but then when it comes out, what I'm detecting is you don't want to hurt them. But it probably takes you by surprise. The amount of anger that can come out towards your children, how loud your voice can go, how in touch you can be with your anger.
It's very true. Yeah, and I've noticed recently, it's like I can feel it all over my body almost as well, which is weird.
It's a very physical.
Like I have to go and sort of separate myself, calm myself down, because it really is frustrating me. And I mean, obviously, I am. I don't ever want to hit my kids or anything like that. So I just separate myself and try and calm myself down. Yeah.
What about, I've heard this phrase, instead of being angry, explain your anger. Because it feels like when you say I go out and I kind of separate myself, it's almost like you've been angry, you can't cope anymore, and you remove yourself from the situation with your children in order to keep them safe, keep yourself safe, which it all sounds great. Do you later on have an opportunity with your children to explain your anger?
Yeah, I do try to sort of talk
Yeah.
it through sort of calmly when everyone's calm and rational again.
But still letting them know that you were angry and it was okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay to be angry, sometimes it's not. But
Yeah.
like explaining maybe what made you angry.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, I do try and do that really. Yeah, no, that's right. Because I mean, we try and just sort of communicate well with them and sort of rationalise things with them and stuff. So yeah, no, we definitely do that. Yeah, how about you? What does anger look like for you?
Yeah, I think I'm much more angry than I'd like to admit, which is probably similar to how you started.
Yeah.
I've got a few kind of examples in my life where I've been angry and been not able to control my anger, which feels scary and out of control. I'll tell you a little story that demonstrates it. So a number of years ago, I was playing football with my brother. It was a corner to the other team, and my brother was deliberately standing on the feet of an opposing player in this corner. And I was stood next to them, and the player said to my brother, "If you stand on my foot one more time, I'm going to punch you in the face." And my brother deliberately then stood on his foot because he thought, I don't know, maybe he thought he wasn't going to do it and it was an empty threat, or he just enjoyed winding him up. And then this player whacked him in the face, full power. And I was stood next to him. Before I knew what I was doing, I was swinging for this guy. Now, I pride myself in being a non-violent person. I think that's the only ever, or maybe one or two times, very rare, violent episodes in my life. And I say violent episodes, it wasn't violent at all. I'd swung for this guy and completely and utterly missed him, which I'm glad happened after. He got sent off, I got sent off, and my brother remained on the pitch because the ref didn't see him standing on his foot. But on the sideline, what was hitting me as I was spending time having been sent off was I was unable to control swinging for this guy. It happened like instinctually, and it felt like my anger overtook me. Like my anger was greater than my ability to be able to control my anger.
Yeah.
And it felt like I didn't even know where it came from. Like I was swinging before I had time to think about whether I was angry or not.
Yeah.
Like it was already coming out of me.
Yeah.
And I think I've experienced that, not like in physical violence. As I said, that was a very rare situation. But even like if I'm shouting at my kids, I feel like sometimes the anger is already out of me before I've had a chance to know whether I want to behave like that or not.
It's exactly
Like
that.
a lacking an element of control. It's almost like it bursts out. And maybe that is because there's been too much suppression. So it's almost like hiding there and gathering momentum, but pushing it down all the time.
Yeah.
And then when someone like triggers me or pricks me in that certain way, it then erupts out without any ability to be able to control it. And that's what I end up reflecting on afterwards, that I would have wanted to control it, but I didn't even have time to think about it. It was already out of me.
Yeah.
So that's how anger works for me. I have a general sense of anger that attaches to some of the stuff we've spoken about in these videos before, like I'm not good enough, I'm not clever enough, I'm not educated enough. So some of my anger is towards me not putting effort in at school. So it is towards myself, some towards my teachers, some towards my parents, that they didn't focus on helping me to be more educated but I take a lot of personal responsibility there. I'm angry with myself. Throughout my study leave at secondary school, I was down the beach every single day. I wasn't studying. I'm now angry towards myself that I did that. So I have a general level of anger that's always there. But then I think, like you, pride myself in being able to control that anger 90% of the time.
I was just thinking as you were saying all this that we, in a way, we go through our day, an average day, with loads of pricks of anger, don't we? So if your kids, if you ask your kids, eat your breakfast and they don't eat their breakfast, we could score that as sort of like 1 or something like that. And then
getting ready for school.
And then getting ready for school is 2, and we're suppressing it at all times, aren't we? And then other things happen, like someone bumps your car, that's maybe a 10 or something like that. And then, of course, once you saw that bloke sort of punch your brother, that escalates it all of a sudden up to 250 or something. So all of a sudden it's sort of like ramped up. So it's like where we've been suppressing it throughout the day. If something really big happens, then it spikes, and I think that's and it's almost like a burst comes out because it's under the surface, at all times.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And often when I spend time with clients, and I don't think I've done this with you because we've not had many sessions on anger.
Yeah.
But if I spend time with clients and they're talking about anger, so a lot of our sessions are talking about anger.
Yeah.
I often say to them, be angry more. Because then you'll stop the absolute explosions.
Yeah.
So I bet you, if I was angry more in my day-to-day life and I allowed myself to express it and it was out of me a bit more, I don't think I would have swung for the guy.
No, that's right, yeah.
So like I truly believe that you can stop the explosions more if you allow yourself to be angry in the small things a little bit more day to day. You'll stop the eruptions, you'll stop the build-up, the pressure cooker, the suppression.
Exactly, yeah. No, it reminds me also of the Chimp Paradox book as well, where we've all got this sort of monkey within that's just very sort of primal and
critical
and just will fly off the handle, things like that. We've got that monkey ready to go in us at all times, and a lot of us function suppressing that monkey, and he's just ready to get out whenever there's a need to. If he thinks that he's got to protect us, that monkey will come out and pounce on us, and that's exactly what anger does. Is basically anger in a way is a indication to ourselves that we've that something or someone has crossed a boundary. That's 100%. In our life. So if someone's crossed a boundary, then anger will push it back. Basically, is a way of pushing it back, isn't it?
Yeah, and if it doesn't push it back, if you suppress it, if you're a people pleaser, someone's crossed the boundary, but you continue to people please them, and you don't allow your anger to push it back, and you suppress it, you're caging that monkey, and you're starving it, and he's becoming more and more wild, more and more feral, more and more pent up.
And he's becoming bigger.
Yeah.
So if you go to prison, you do weights, don't you?
He'll
get bigger.
Yeah, that anger is growing.
That's right. He's getting bigger and bigger inside that cage, ready to
explode.
The next time he can get out. And as soon as there's a slight loosening of the cage, he pushes it open and he's erupted.
Yeah, and he normally erupts on someone that's safe. Yeah. So, like, if you think that you're people pleasing a lot of the time, so you're not putting these boundaries in place to protect yourself because you're people pleasing. So you're keeping that monkey in its cage. He's growing and growing. He's becoming bigger and bigger, more and more angry, more and more wild, more and more feral. Then someone that you don't need to people please so much. Yeah. Because you've got a deeper, more trusting relationship with them, like your wife Bex. Once she sits on the bed and makes a noise, that anger will explode towards her. It doesn't belong towards her. It belongs to all of the other stuff. But you've had to keep it quiet by people pleasing. It suddenly gets displaced onto Bex, and she gets the full brunt of it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, when she doesn't deserve it.
No,
that's right.
I mean, it's only probably a tiny proportion of that anger is meant for her.
Yeah, that's right.
The rest of it is meant for John. Yeah. For God. For work situation. But all of that's like buried, pent up, that plugs in.
You're keeping quiet about the bad situations, so that monkey's getting bigger and bigger. And then when my wife does anything out of the blue, because I know she's not going to leave me ultimately, because I know she loves me, I displace
she gets
it
the
all
explosion.
on her.
Yeah. The monkey beats her up.
Yeah, that's it. And my anger's displaced, and it was actually intended for someone else. Yeah, yeah.
Isn't it interesting that, like, so I'd say that this session it kind of existed in two halves. The first half was getting more in touch with our anger, allowing it out, being connected to our feelings and emotions, you in particular. Once you've done that, now the second half has been replaced by calm.
Yeah. Yeah,
like you're much calmer now.
I almost feel like what I needed to get out has now got out.
Yeah, and your body language, your tone, your expression, the way you're speaking is like really much calmer than normal.
Yeah.
Than you normally are in here. Once you listen to yourself back, you'll discover that really you're striking me as really calm.
Fascinating. When I'm not usually, I'm quite a stressy type stress head, really. Yeah.
Almost like you could just chill out now and watch a movie,
or
have a bath, or just go for a walk and just feel okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and this is why it is important to sort of let anger out in a safe way. Obviously, you've got to still control yourself.
Yeah, I mean, if you shouted how he shouted in this session down the street, you might get sectioned.
Exactly. So you've got to bring it out in a safe environment. So anger, basically, we're saying anger's not all bad, is it? It's there to tell us that that our boundary's been crossed and that we need to do something about it. Yeah.
Or we're hurt. Or like I've heard someone once say that anger is a secondary emotion. And it can't exist on its own. There's always something underneath it first. So we've been hurt, or a boundary's been crossed, or we're frustrated, or there's something always underneath that anger. Yeah. And then the anger is the secondary emotion.
And sometimes it is layers as well, isn't it? Ultimately, if you're tired and then someone hits your car, or like your kids don't do what you want, and then it's sort of almost like it's layering up. And so anger, comes out because of those things. So, So anger is actually quite a positive thing if it's sort of controlled well, I guess. But equally, you don't want to suppress it. You need to control it, but don't suppress it.
Yeah, and be angry more, but as we said, in the right environments. Yeah. So this is an environment that's allowed you to be angry more. So actually, you might feel a little bit better today.
Yeah, I already do. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, thanks very much, Gary.
Cheers, John. Yeah, interesting session that one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, thank you.
The following has been left in because it might be interesting.
No, that was really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe we are more angry than we think we are, both of us.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling we are, and I've got a feeling lots of Christians are.
Yeah, I think they are. But they never want to say it. That's the thing. It boils down to this authenticity sort of thing, and that's why we're making these blasted videos. Really, is because I want Christians more than anything to see it's okay to be real, and not cover it up all the time and pretend you're okay. So no, it's so important to sort of let it out in a controlled way, isn't it? But the control is a weird one because the word control instantly sort of alludes to suppression, but equally, you don't want to punch the window or something. I don't want to punch the window. I could go and punch the window, couldn't I?
You wouldn't punch a window.
No.
If you were letting out smaller amounts of anger every day.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's the key, isn't it? Is letting it. Is being more connected to yourself consistently.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
More
that's
in
it.
touch with your own emotions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not just anger, but sadness.
Yeah.
Like frustration, hurt, pain, all of your emotions. The more connected you are, the less they take you by surprise.
Yeah, that's right. And then the more real you are as a person. Because I'd never really thought about sort of letting anger out as connected to being more you. But I literally, as soon as you said that, I was like, yes, I feel more me right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was like the best moment in the session. The moment that you felt that was when you were most connected. And that's, hopefully that's what, when people will watch it, that would be the most connecting part for them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, exactly.
Thanks ever so much for listening in. Remember to hit the follow button to stay up to date for latest episodes.